It has been for all of last week telling you about the debut of a program that I personally am looking forward to, and the SHOPO Hour is underway. But before we get into some of the details, let's get to know our good friends who are in studio. And Bobby Cavaco is with us here. And Bobby, I want to say aloha and good morning.
Good morning, Rick. Thank you for having us on. We really appreciate this opportunity to give exposure to the public about, more about what our officers do, on a daily basis.
Amen. Amen. And again, welcome. Good morning. Steve Keogh joins us as well. Brother Steve, aloha.
Rick, good morning to you, sir. Thanks again for having us. We're excited to be here. Looking forward to it.
I'm jazzed up. I mean, Monday mornings, I'm usually like, but this shoots, we're ready to go. And my much younger brother, but equally as handsome, Brother Mark Critchio, retired HPD. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Morning, Rick. Morning, Rick. Morning, Bobby. Morning, Steve. Looking forward to the show.
Yeah, me too, me too. And the whole idea is access. Access information, speaking the truth. You're invited to call at any time at 521-8383. Let's get to know our friends as we launch the SHOPO Hour. And Bobby, would you mind taking us through? Tell us about yourself, please.
Yeah, so born and raised here in Hawaii. I've been in the department going on my 22nd year, going on my 20th year in SHOPO. I'm a lieutenant in the traffic division, responsible for the night enforcement unit and our vehicle homicide section for the nighttime hours. And just basically, got elected into this position in January, and, we've hit the ground running. Doing a lot of things, and one of them is our patrol staffing. But basically, we just appreciate again this opportunity this morning.
Thank you very much. What was the catalyst for becoming a law enforcement officer?
I've always wanted to be a law enforcement officer since I was 7.
Right.
I used to watch a lot of programs on the TV. Chips and.
One at
those
12,
others.
one at him 12.
Yeah.
Please respond to a call.
Yeah, so ever since I was 7, and after I graduated high school, went to Chaminade, got my degree in criminal justice, and I applied for the department probably in my junior year, because I knew it took back then about 18 months, to get in, to go through the whole entire vetting process. So graduated in May, and then August of 2000, I got in.
Wow, love that story, love it. Thank you very much, Bobby. Thank you indeed. And by the way, president of SHOPO.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've held not every position, but I started from the bottom as shop steward, then got into the Honolulu board as a director, and then Honolulu chair and the vice chair, and then got elected president in this last election. It's very, very humbled by it.
Thank you very much for that, Bobby. Thank you so much. Steve, I'd like to do the same with you, Steve.
Sure,
Keogh.
absolutely. So Honolulu became my new home in 2006. I was originally born and raised in Chicago.
And that's why we love Steve. That's right. Yeah, that's it. We fly the W in here, brother, right over there behind Mark. So
Right on,
there
right
we
on,
go.
right on. I used to go to Wrigley Field, not so much for the baseball, more for the
Brats.
entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah.
The activities outside the ballpark. So, yeah, Rick, so I was working in the fitness industry prior to 2006. I had wanted to get into law enforcement, and I started just putting out some applications. Long story short, Honolulu PD hired me the fastest, so I came here December of 2006, went out to the Keikula, graduated, and started my career back then. Currently, I work in urban Honolulu as a patrol sergeant. I've been doing that now for 3 years, and it's just a fantastic opportunity. There's a lot of jobs within the police department that officers can do. I feel that my niche and what I enjoy doing is I like doing patrol work. I like being out on the road in the field, really having that direct contact with the community and the officers that work with me.
Wow, that's the perspective you're going to be able to share with us is really essential.
We're excited about the opportunity, Rick, because I think right now, people have a lot of opinions about law enforcement, some good, some bad. I think if we can clarify kind of what we do on a daily basis and share with those in a very open and transparent way what we do for work, I think it could go a long way to educate people and inform them really about what their police department does for them. Because really, we work for, we're your, HPD is Honolulu's police department. So, yeah.
It's going to work out well. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Brother Mark, I know that people know and love you and have your phone number on their walls and fridges, but
In the bathrooms.
in their bathrooms, well. And the show takes a dramatic turn within the first few. Would you mind?
Sure. I moved here in 1989 from the liberal state of New York. I was happy to get out of there. Working for Safeway. I'm a meat carter by trade, believe it or not. Right? And bartending at night. Police officers used to come in, say, "Hey, why don't you join?" I'm like, they're not going to take me. So I did it on a whim. And here I am 31 and a half years later. Right?
Yeah.
So I came in the department in 1990. Right? I worked Central Receiving. I worked District 1, District 6, which is Waikiki, District 1 downtown, District 7, East Honolulu. Got promoted out of District 7 to detective up in CID for a year. The only reason I loved the work. The only reason I left there was, like Steve, I wanted to be on the road. I have that connection. I like to deal with people on the road and something different every day. And I transferred to District 6, Waikiki. I was a sergeant there for 10 years. And from there, I got promoted to lieutenant, went back to Central Receiving as a lieutenant. And from there, promoted to captain. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I got promoted to captain, I went up to the chief's office for a year. And then promoted to captain, went back down to Central Receiving as an acting major. And then from there, promoted to major, went to Waikiki.
There we go.
So, 31 and a half years.
31 and a half. Goodness gracious. Started when he was 12.
Yeah.
It's astounding. Astounding.
Yeah, it's not easy being 40 right
I know,
now.
that's, that labor law thing, you just bypass.
But I'm excited about the show because with a lot of people reading the papers or whatever's on their apps is a lot of negativity, a lot of negative articles. And it's just not the case. But there's a lot of times where either the department or officers can't talk about it because there's still active investigations, and all you're hearing is one side and the spin of the reporter. So I'm excited about this show and what will come out of it.
It's a great way to start. Get to know our friends in studio, and you get to know the opportunity to give us a call at 521-8383. We're still going to learn more as we begin this. I can't wait for this series. Each Monday at 7 a.m. It is the SHOPO Hour. Right here on News Radio 830 KHVH, a new series of programs that are designed to help educate and also have access to our good friends with SHOPO and the HPD. We have Bobby and Steve and Mark in studio. Bobby, I'm going to turn back to you. Just briefly give us a description about what is SHOPO.
So SHOPO is the union that represents all of our police officers statewide. We have a contract that we negotiate for our 2,800 members. And, it's a union that is always, we always want to improve our working conditions for all of our police officers. So we're constantly trying to negotiate changes in policies that the chiefs always are trying to change, because with different police chiefs, you always have different ideas, different ways that they want to move the department. So when they have those views on how they want to change policing or how officers do their job, the union is there to at least sit down at the table and have those discussions. And maybe those ideas are not conducive to our members, and that's when we step in and we're the voice for them. Of course, we're always at the table trying to get higher pay, higher pay for our officers statewide, and just improving the working conditions, as best we can.
Right. We're going to get into a lot of that with those details in just a bit. But thank you, Bobby, for that very much. Now with Steve and with Mark, could you paint the picture for us? Because many of us don't know the day in the life of a police officer.
I think that's a good question, Rick. Like I alluded to earlier, within the department, right, Mark? There's a lot of different jobs an officer can do. I could give you a general rundown from a patrol standpoint, because that's what I do. I'm a patrol sergeant. I work D1 third watch. So our day on paper kicks off at 2:00 and ends at 11. Right? It's a 9-hour shift.
So D1 third watch is technically is what? What hours? What part of the day? I'm sorry. Just,
no problem. No
yeah.
problem. So listen. So we have roll call at the main station. So I work out of the main station.
Okay.
Urban Honolulu is going to be the Mountain, Chinatown, Kaka'ako, Ala Moana, really where a lot of the action happens.
Yeah.
So we roll into the main station. We have roll call at 2 p.m. It's an opportunity for the officers working the watch to get together, to come together. It's where the leadership on the watch will brief the officers as to what's going on for the day, any pertinent information, tips, policies, reviews, and basically a roll call. We make sure that everybody's where they need to be. Everybody's squared away, ready to go. That lasts anywhere between, let's say, 10 and 20 minutes, depending on the watch commander and how much that individual likes to talk. Depending on is how long we hit the road, and then the officers get released. Depending on if they're motorized officers, they would then go into their subsidized vehicles. From there, the officers would go. They've already checked out, let's say, the less lethal shotgun, any type of long guns that are needed that are assigned. Officers obviously have their own. They're going to go down to the motor pool, and they're going to check out the white cars that you see them driving around with, Honolulu police on the side of the door. And the day gets started. They log in with dispatch. Every officer has a call sign, Rick. So we don't say our first or last names. It's everybody gets a call sign. So, for example, my call sign is 1175. So I'll test out 1175 from portable, logged in. Dispatch knows that I'm ready to go. All the other officers, supervisors, lieutenant on the watch will eventually do the same thing. And then it's game on. We're ready to take calls for service. Obviously, we do proactive policing as well. But ideally, the function of patrol is to respond to calls for service from the community.
Gotcha.
And we do that. And the watch, again, that I work, Rick, we start at 2 o'clock. We work until 11. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
We just learned so much just with what you shared. So thank you for that.
Sure.
I want to turn to Mark very quickly, though. Could you expand and add whatever you would like, day in the life of an officer and wherever that might take us, Mark?
Well, like Steve was explaining, people see, okay, police officers go to work, get in at patrol cars, give tickets, go home. Prior to them even hitting the road, their responsibilities are huge. They hit line up. They're given information by their supervisors in line up. They're getting inspected, whether it be their appearance, their equipment. Now they have to check out less lethal, whether it be tasers. Well, tasers they're issued. And now they have body cams they have to deal with. Right? So all these small little things where people don't even see just weighing on these officers, right? But when we're at work, we don't feel it. We don't feel the weight. It's just something that we have to do, right? And then they hit the road. But when we hit the road, or when these officers hit the road, they have no idea what they're walking into, right? People, they could be going to a regular, say, little argument between landlord-tenant. They could be going to a shooting. They have no idea what going to be sent to, right, throughout their day. And it doesn't end there. When they're done, they've got to write reports, right? People forget that. Reports are long. They need to be detailed. They'll be sent to their supervisors, and they'll get kicked back for discrepancies. So, and then on top of it, we have online training. It's taken a lot of time out of these patrol officers' day, right? There's just so much involved in a police officer's day.
Yeah.
You go home, you're wiped out.
I was just going to share to Mark, a successful police officer has to be organized. They have to be organized. They have to be good listeners, and they have to be able to work under stress. They're normal people that have the ability to work well under stress and make decisions. They have to stay organized with, at least at the patrol level they do. There's just a lot of things that go into really preparing for work. And it's kind of interesting, right? Because we prepare for our workday by putting on a ballistic vest, putting a gun on our hip, a taser on one side, a firearm on the other, OC spray. It's not the usual, some people put on a tie, some people do other things. Our prep for work is a little bit different, but necessary, right?
Yeah. Bobby.
Well, I want to add to what Mark was saying about the type of calls that we go to when we're on shift. We go from, like he was talking about, say it's just a noise complaint about their neighbors, washing their clothes and the washing machine is too loud. That's the kind of stuff that comes in that HPD bears that responsibility to do. So you go to that kind of case, and then 5 minutes later you're going to a big brawl down in Waianae in the middle of the street, and then from there so you go from the small level of where your mindset is, and then you go to a heightenedness of awareness with the big brawl, and then you got to come back down and you got to do let's say somebody's car got broken into, so you're doing a cold case with the report and documentation with collecting evidence and stuff. But then maybe 20 minutes later you're back up here again. It's a gun call, with somebody with a gun or with a knife, a stabbing or whatnot in progress case. So that awareness where you're going from here all the way up to, and then all the way, so that fluctuation of your mindset throughout an 8-hour shift, it takes a toll, after a while.
Just that emotional roller coaster.
Yes.
The anticipatory. And the one thing that, and by the way, it's the SHOPO Hour. It's our debut of this wonderful hour broadcast, and thank you for joining us. The one thing that is, for me as a layperson, is that suspects, like criminals, suspects, etc., no rules. Zero, obviously. They're breaking, whatever. A police officer, however, when having to intervene, you're subjected to rules, regulations, and now with body cams, a third eye that records everything you say, everything you do. And I can't imagine, is there enough clarity? Do you have rules of engagement that support what you need to do in uncertain and dangerous circumstances?
Rick, I'll if I can, just with the body cameras. I think the body cameras are important. I think they're effective, and I think they're necessary. I think they provide a level of transparency for the public and for the department. Mm-hmm. The only thing we want to remember when it comes to the body-worn cameras, you can't just take that optic. The camera will show one thing, but there's sometimes things happen off camera. So I think the body-worn cameras are important. As far as policies that we're able to do our job, I think that's the biggest thing, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole too much. I think the public needs to remember that when we choose, let's say, for example, we have the police commission. I'll just give you this example, and I'll tie this in just a second. When you have civilian oversight of a law enforcement agency, you want to be real careful that the civilians are providing appropriate oversight within their wheelhouse. We're in an interesting organization because, right, Mark, with a law enforcement family, we're in a profession where people that have never been in the profession seem to have a lot of opinions about how we should do what we do. And we just want to be really careful as a community that we allow police officers to do their jobs effectively, right? So I think we do have the right tools. I feel we're empowered to do what we need to do, and that's why community support is so important. But we want to make sure that we don't get so far off the reservation that the police can't do their job. Mm-hmm. And maybe that we can segue that later in the show, but I think that ties in with when you asked us, hey, do you have enough of what you need to do your job? And I would say the answer is yes, but we want to make sure we don't start going down a slope where things are taken away from us and we can't do our job. Or, on the flip side, Rick, that we're given too much on our plate where we can't do anything effectively.
Because there's the adage, too many cooks in the kitchen. And especially when you're talking about dangerous life and death situations, I always wonder what the mentality is of an officer that when engaged in split-second decision making, is there a process that goes through, all right, did I do this? Is this, okay, then act. That's the thing that I try to reconcile without knowing, obviously, firsthand. And you mentioned the roller coaster of the calls and the swings of emotion as you respond. Adding that on top, a day in the life, that's a tough day. That's a tough day. Bobby, would you mind? How do we connect with SHOPO, learn more about SHOPO? What do you recommend?
Well, what do you recommend for the public to know more about SHOPO?
Yeah.
I think what we're doing right now, this show right here.
Right.
I think it's great that we can come on and if there's any calls, fielded by the community in general, that we can try and answer them to the best of our ability. I think that's just a step in the right direction in the meantime for now.
Yeah. We'll leave it there then. That's great. That's great. All right, everybody, welcome back. Glad you're with us here. It is Aloha Monday morning. We are launching the SHOPO Hour, which is going to be a whole series of conversations featuring our friends in studio and, more importantly, featuring you. So Bobby Cavaco, Steve Keogh, and also Mark Critchio are here to help us understand more about the service of our men and women in HPD, and also to give insight on topicality that's important. We brought up body cams earlier, and I'd like to turn to Bobby for further commentary. Bobby.
Yeah, so when you were talking about the body cams and how that's an effect on officers and whatnot, I think way too much emphasis is being placed on the body cam and what the public sees in the body cam. A lot of time you see the media playing the body cam video of a high-profile incident, whether it's a shooting or whatnot, and it's like it's a trial just by body cam in the media, which is it's very dismissive to our members, that act in that that are acted in that particular incident. A prime example would be the Kalakaua shooting, and the prosecutor's office obviously, I think, took way too much or placed way too much emphasis on the body cam, because people believe that what you see in the body cam is what the officer sees or what the officer feels, and that is not a conducive picture of what it is to be in those shoes involved in that situation. Mm-hmm. Just because you see in the body cam that somebody came out that was maybe placed in danger in front of the car doesn't mean that the officer saw that. Yeah, you see it on camera, but maybe the officer was looking at in a different direction or whatnot. So, when people just make these decisions based on just the body cam itself, I think we can't have that viewpoint. When they look at body cams in general, I think just like how, Steve, you were touching upon it earlier, as far as our profession, there's a lot of people out there that are telling us how we should do our jobs and whatnot, but they don't know what it is to walk in these shoes and make the decisions that we make. So I told Chief Vanek, for these people, and we're talking about commissions and other agencies or people in the that are in talking about our city council or our police commission even, take them down to the simulator at the police academy and issue them a gun, put it on their gun belt, and go through the simulator. Give a shoot don't shoot scenario, and put them in the live fight, if you will. Mm-hmm. And see how they perform under stress. Right. Our job is the only job where we have one chance to do it, and we got to do it right. Because if we don't do it right, we might end up taking a life, and that is something that's very, very tough to do.
You mentioned go ahead, Mark.
I just want to touch on what Bobby was talking about. Two things: body cams and the police commission. I'll start with the body cams. Yes, we need transparency. Well, let me back up. Exactly what Bobby was saying. What the public sees or what the body cam shows is not what the officer sees. The officers, you see a square from a body cam, but the officer's eyes is 360, looking up, down, sideways, which the body cam cannot see. And you get prosecutors and you get even a police commission looking at that square saying, oh, that's exactly what happened. No, it's not. You don't know what the officer's eyes saw. You don't know what that officer felt during that situation. So they need to look at that. Mm-hmm. Secondly, police commission. The problem I have with them is they're making these, it's a civilian oversight, but they have no idea what these officers are doing. Not once, as a commander or an officer, has the police commission even come down and talk to these officers. Number one. Number two, we have something in the department called Citizen Police Academy. Right? It goes through what a police officer does for training. Right? Only the Chair Olivado, is the only person that went through that. Every other person on that police commission has not been through that. It should be a requirement for a police commissioner to go through that before they start making decisions on oversight for the police department. So that's all I got to say about that.
I mean, which is relevant, pertinent, and back up a second. The authoritative voice of the police commission is relegated to what? What is the scope and the barriers, as a word, of what that authority of the police commission can do, especially when it starts creeping into the operations of HPD?
Well, it's two basic things. One is to discipline, hire, and fire the chief.
Okay.
And then the second thing is the police commission to field and make decisions on complaints from the public against police officers. So that's the two main
Right.
priorities, or via the charter, the city charter, on what the commission is responsible to do.
Right. What are we seeing, though? Are we seeing more ingratiation into the operational aspects of the department?
Well, I think we're slowly seeing that the commission is really putting their hands in the cookie jar, and they want to run the department.
I mean,
So the commission, they cannot run the department. They cannot set policy. It's in the city charter.
right.
But they're pushing.
Yeah.
Right? Stay in your lane. That's what I got to say about that.
Got it.
And if we think about it, boys, right? Mayor Rick is the leader of the city, and then you have the city council. I think Bobby brought a comment up that this is just me talking personally, is that the police commission has their function, but as far as, who picks the next chief of police and that sort of thing, I actually think it should be done by elected leadership of the city, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Mayor Rick was elected. Each city councilman was elected. It would make sense that those individuals who are elected by the people have an opportunity to choose the chief, not necessarily appointees of a previous mayor or a current mayor. Again, just we're talking about the police commission and kind of their scope. And the police commission right now, again, is for your listeners, Rick, they're going to have the monumental task of determining who the next chief of the city is going to be. And let's hope we get this one right. Yeah, we need to hit a home run on this one. And those individuals, whatever walk of life they came from, they're good people. I'm sure they care about the community, and they want to do the right thing, which is why they volunteer to be on the police commission. We just want to make sure, I think, not to get too convoluted here, that when it comes to the police department, we want to make sure that the officers that come to work every day, put on the uniform, prep mentally, drive the marked police cars, as I was telling you, are allowed to do their job and serve this community. And in order to do that, if people want to contribute with intellectual conversation, robust discussion, please have at least some fundamental background in law enforcement or policing. And if you don't, then maybe you just don't talk too much, and you listen more than you speak. Yeah. And as far as the body cameras, boys, if I could just bring this up, the body camera is an excellent tool for law enforcement. It's a tool, but it should not be viewed as gospel. And I think what Mark was alluding to, and Bobby, is that in certain cases, this body camera tool is becoming front and center. And I think we want to make sure we don't treat it as such. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. As a layman, I just want to back up a bit with the commission. The commission initially, I believe, did get it right post Kealoha. I thought Chief Ballard, I thought that she brought a whole new vibe and a atmosphere of recovery, if you will, especially for the general public. Firm hand, clear, transparent, accessible. COVID, whatever happened, I don't know. But her departure, I thought, was a loss because she embodied a lot of the principles that people admired and felt knowledgeable that the department was in good hands. And whatever happened, I don't know, but so they have the ability to do it. But man, this time around, it's going to be front and center, because you're also dealing with fundamental things like understaffing. And you've spoken at length about that. And also previous to the elections for leadership, you cited, we need to take care of our members. We need to take care. And being understaffed puts a whole nother side of a burden that you already shared with us about a day in the life. So, can I leave it there for a moment and take the final break? Maybe we can expand on that a little bit if you don't mind. But the bottom line is, it's the SHOPO Hour, folks. It is the debut of the SHOPO Hour. It's an hour where we're getting to know and introducing our good friends in studio with Bobby, Steve, and Mark. And it's a way to, once again, have accessibility, knowledge, and perspective from a side of the story that is rarely reported or underreported, and that's not beneficial to us in discerning what takes place on a daily basis with our police officers, their families, and ourselves. So, stating that, I know we've gone on a couple of different tacks. One thing we mentioned before was the understaffing issue. I have Mayor Rick on with us every Wednesday. He reports back that we have this is citywide with virtually every department. Focusing on HPD, though, Bobby, what do you have to share with us?
Well, we came out really hard trying to convey to the public that we are dealing with a real crisis with our understaffing. And this understaffing has been going on for years, okay? It's been going on for years, and nobody's ever spoken up about it. And it's time to speak up about it and get this thing solved. We need to change the mentality of our administration that it's okay to work with 75%. Our members are not happy with that. They're not okay to just work with 75%. We should be at 100% starting the day and then see where it goes from there. But that's what the community deserves. I'd like to use the analogy of an airplane. Okay, when you hop out an airplane, okay, and you're going from point A to point B, they're mandated to have a pilot and a co-pilot, and let's say 5 flight attendants. Okay, let's say 2 of the flight attendants call sick, so now you only have 3. Does that plane take off to point B, and the pilot's just going to say, you know what? Maybe we can make it to point B with just 3 flight attendants. No, they don't. Right? They call in, or that plane doesn't leave the ground unless they have the mandated 5. Right. So that mentality should still, or should equate to our patrol officers, serving the public. And we just can't get the administration past that. So we're going to keep on this soapbox, if you will, until it gets solved. And we understand that patrol is not the entire department. All right, we have a lot of different specialized divisions that serve the community in its capacity with PAL and our SSD, our community affairs, our community policing teams, our misdemeanor follow-up details. So we have different responsibilities that officers are doing on a daily basis. But I think, the new chief or the administration that comes in needs to take a hard look at what the department is doing. And if we're doing 28 different things, maybe we need to consolidate that into like 4 or 5 and then do that efficiently. And one of them is patrols. When people call 911, they're not saying, "Hey, Officer Keogh, you're doing a fabulous job, and I just wanted to call 911 and tell you you're doing great service." No, they call 911 because they're in crisis. They have a problem that they're dealing with, whether it's an argument or whether someone broke into their house and just ran out and they're running down the street. That's what our profession is, to be there when the community calls 911 and have an officer respond in a timely manner.
Why is it that for decades this has been an issue where there's understaffing? Can it be pointed to, we have an operational budget of over $3 billion now here at the city level. Is it a money issue or is it a recruitment issue? And if it's recruitment, is it part of the overall present day, hate this, criticisms of police officers nationwide we're experiencing locally as well? What's the causation and what's the remedy?
I think it's a little bit of everything.
Okay.
But in my 31 and a half years,
Yeah.
we always work short. It was ridiculous.
Always.
Always. We always, I'll give you an example. Midnight watch, one night I was a white car. 2 of us working a sector. 5 people supposed to be assigned. 2, that's it. And then you supervise, that's it. Go for it. We're not calling anybody in.
Gee.
It was just, that's it. You got to work that way. And it's a bad mentality. But this department has always been short. So I'm going to give you a small little example from when I came in when I first came in, we didn't have a bicycle detail. We didn't have ATV detail. We didn't have a division. We didn't have major events division. We didn't have, I said ATV?
ATVs, yeah.
So, and we didn't have community policing teams. So all that stuff was put into place, but we didn't get any extra staffing for it. So it's got to come from someplace. So they just take from different divisions, create these other ones, and now your overall staffing is low, and that's just, you just got to deal with it. Yes, we do have recruiting issues, but I don't think it's just one thing, right? But yeah, benefits are one, because they did take benefits away, right? So that I have an officer that worked for me. She was about to be promoted to sergeant. She left for better benefits with the feds. She would have stayed, but when she retires, spouse not covered.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And retirement, but I think it's a few things. But
Yeah.
If I can offer this, so this is the mentality that we need our administration to get away from. Our District 7 East Honolulu District, which covers from Sandy Beach all the way into King Street in town. Okay, there's 26 beats.
Sandy to King Street?
Sandy to King Street.
Ooh.
Okay, large area,
Wow.
26 beats at 100%. You're supposed to have 26 officers. So our current administration is only committed to 75%. Okay, they did a 6-week study. Okay, a 6-week study on calls for service in like the Portlock area, and it was like some low number, like 2 calls of service. Okay, but based on that 6-week study, they want to base the 75% off of 23 beats instead of 26. Okay, just because of that low call for service. You know, we don't understand that. Why are we going backwards? We're supposed to be going, forwards. Why is an administration trying to cut down the number of officers, on the road? It just doesn't make any sense. When Steve always talks about the firehouse. If they have 13 firemen or fire ladies on a watch, and if they only have 3 calls for service for the month, are we knocking them down to 2 firemen? Because you have to have the staffing there for when it hits the fan. You have enough officers to address the situation.
Yeah, Rick, I think SHOPO is a labor organization that represents police, and when it comes to police staffing, that directly ties into labor, right? And what we're highlighting to the community, not to complain, but to be transparent and to share with the community that we serve. Hey, listen, beats are funded. For example, there should be 20 cops hitting the road in a certain patrol district, but for whatever particular reason, there's only 16. Where are the other 4? Where are the other 5? These are questions that, as a labor organization, we're now asking management to tell us what's going on. We've went to the city council. City council says the money's there. It should be used. So really, it comes down to Rick, what HPD administration is choosing to do with that money. You also highlighted recruitment. That I'm with Mark on that. It's another issue. But as far as, yes, we have less people coming to be police officers. I don't think anybody would be shocked to hear that coming from your studio today, that not a lot of people, given this climate, want to get into law enforcement and have it be a career. And that's unfortunate.
This is the launch of a great series of programs called the SHOPO Hour. I want to thank Bobby Cavaco very, very much, president of SHOPO, Steve Keogh, treasurer.
Thanks, Rick.
And Mark Cruccio, the most handsome man in the chair he's sitting in. It's astounding.
Only this chair.
In the 2 square feet around himself.
That's right, exactly. Retired HPD and good man, good friend. I want to thank you both.
Thank you, Rick.
And Mark,
Thanks
for
for
being with us.
Thanks for having us on.
We're going to do it again next week, and every week, stay with us.